Welcome to TLC for the Soul podcast, where soul meets spirit. You have entered into sacred space. I'm your host, TAMI Chambers, and I'm here to help you shine. Now let's get going on this podcast journey. Hello, friends. Hello, and welcome to Bringers of the Light Sundays. Welcome. This is February 25th that I'm recording this, hanging out. I actually could have, I just came from there, walked the medicine wheel. We've had some very interesting weather. We're going to have 60 degrees tomorrow. Okay. So we're going to start talking about the week ahead because it's going to be very, very interesting. So all my star seeds and galactic junkies, whatever you want to call yourself, galactic starseed friends. This week is going to be one of those weeks to remember. Let's just get ourselves into good old juicy sacred space as I wrap us all in love light and light love, inviting in the guides who overlight TLC for the soul, Archangel Michael, Archangel Metatron, the Pleiadians, and I have some special guests coming in today to help us with the week ahead themes and energy streams. Archangel Metatron is bringing in a little time, what do you want to call it? Time Lords. Oh, Time Lords. A little Time Lords collective of energies from different places, all that work with time. We've got the Arcturians coming in. We have the Mayans, Time Lords coming in. We've got some Mesopotamian energies that have been coming up to me lately. I worked a lot with the Middle East during the 2-2 to 222 portal, really trying to help raise the vibration there. And as such, I'm getting all these like Mesopotamian guides that want to step forward. But this is a leap year. I hadn't really paid too much attention to it. But when I channeled the chapter for the Rose of San Juan Capistrano for this week ahead, I was like, oh my gosh, this is all about falling down, kind of like Alice, falling down the wormhole into Wonderland. And then I listened to a podcast this morning, Spirit. I've been wanting to listen to it. I've been putting it off. And Molly McCord, the astrologer, intuitive astrologer I like to listen to, did a podcast on the leap year energies. And she brought in some sage time gurus from Incan, Mayan, and Aztec. And when I heard that, I was like, oh, I have so many questions. It was just like so high level. And I wanted to better understand the spiritual technology behind what the channeling was that these Time Lords and these time benders were bringing in to her. So if I remember, I will link her podcast episode. And if I don't remember, then she's on YouTube. It's Molly McCord. She just did this one. It's about the leap year time portal. And you can go search for that yourself. So let's get settled in because there's a lot of energies, as always, when a show's about to start, everybody wants to be a part of it. Crystals want to get in, card decks want to be in, and, guides want to show up. But specifically today, I want to focus on the week ahead. I think it's just going to be a very fun week for those of you that are just kind of like, like bored with your 3D reality right now. Especially, if you resonate as a star seed, if you are used to working in the higher realms, even my earth angels, or those of you that work with angelic frequencies and higher levels of consciousness, like my Rishi solar consciousness friends, and anybody that maybe might have been a time bender in a so many chills, in a previous life, or is doing time bending now as another aspect of your soul's journey. So it may be something that you do at night in dream time, and are working with the Time Lords in this galaxy or other galaxies. So tap into that, because this week is a week where you could really start to remember who you are in relation to any work you're doing around time portals, time bending, time stretching, what's the other one I say? Like being a time lord. And of course we know the big time, well, I don't know if everybody, like Doctor Who is like the longest running show ever, right? About time lords. Oh my gosh, my son and I used to have this big Doctor Who, we used to watch Doctor Who all the time. He was, as a little boy, a little boy, like 4 or 5 years old, he was so into Doctor Who. And we have all the Daleks. We have all the, what is it? Like the vintage Daleks. I mean, he went all the way back to like the very first Doctor Who that came out was in the 50s, 60s or whatever. He's like a Doctor Who fanatic. So big on the Doctor Who. And the whole thing about, traveling in the TARDIS and going to other places and other galaxies. So this is the week for that kind of energy. You may be having a lot of deja vu experiences, or you may realize, you may be getting a lot of what's called like parrot guidance. It may feel like deja vu, but it's not. So any of you that have been looking for signs or synchronicities about certain things in your life, whatever, the questions that always come up, like, is this meant for me? I need a confirmation. And it's like, I told you guys, I'm working on a manifestation that's been going now for like, this is year 4. Spirit has told me like, this is coming. I'm like, this is year 4. This is coming. And I'm telling you, like, parrot guidance is like almost every day for 4 years, I've been getting the same messages that this is coming. And I'm like, oh my God, is this ever going to happen? And so today, in one of the daily readings that I like to listen to over on Liz Harrison with Guided by Angels, one of her daily reading was like, you are going to be getting some parrot guidance. You're going to be getting parrot guidance. I'm like, I'm going to get parrot. She calls it parrot guidance whenever you get the same messages over and over and over again. And I'm like, wah. I've been hearing the same. I keep telling you how many hundreds and hundreds of readings I've heard about the same message coming. So, we're just holding out for this manifestation. But today I heard a reading. I love watching, I'm looking for some of my favorite channels, like Moon Magic Tarot with Jenny. She's very shamanic, very shamanic, earthy roots. She was a, like a psychologist, or I don't know what they call it in the UK, accredited counselor or whatever, for like 25 years. And so she puts that spin on it. But she did a reading this morning in her pick-a-pile for the week ahead. And I'm like, I swear some of the same cards came out in a reading that I heard like 2 or 3 weeks ago. And I'm like, is this deja vu? And Spirit's like, no, this is parrot guidance. But I swear she said like almost the exact same things that she said in the reading before. And I'm like, oh, this is so bizarre. So look out for stuff like that. And personally, I just feel like that's the magical, mystical side of this journey that I really enjoy, is just all the fun little like synchronicities. And like, yes, we know Spirit's there like 24/7, Spirit's there, but it's just so fun to like, when they pop in and they do these like things that you're just like, whoa, there's just days when I get this guidance and I'm like, oh my God, you guys are so funny, the way that they'll lead you to something. And I just thank my guys all the time. I'm like, thank you for that's what kind of makes it magical for me. Like, I'm like this pirate on an adventure, I want to find that the treasure to me is all of these little things, all these little nuggets of like fun, magical insights and stuff. So that's what we're going to tap into this week. And so a leap year, we've got a leap year this year, February 29th, and then we're just going to rush right into March. I'm looking though, I tried to pull up, did I pull it up? Yeah, let me see if I have it. A while back, I wrote an article, I wrote a blog post about time bending. And I'm just looking at that. Let's see your son. I don't know if I want to read that. I'm going to post this. I changed my blog a while back, and I'm going to post this on the blog. And then yeah, I'm going to start. I'm going to open another level in Patreon. It's going to be called something like the Book Nook, Love Jar, Book Nook or something that's just the very lowest little tier. That's going to be more like a donation base. It's not donation based. It's going to have a set thing, but it's going to be more like a donation slash Love Jar thing. And that's where I'm going to put my blog articles that I write and my monthly newsletter. So I'm going to get rid of my email newsletter list because I don't use it, and I personally just am not an email newsletter person. I just feel like email newsletters get lost in all the other jillions of emails that are out there. And I personally have 3 email accounts. I'm like, I sign up for like, Sally Joe's email and I'll never see it, and I'll probably never have a chance to read it. So I feel like if you really want those things, if you really want to be on the email list or whatever, and there are people on the email list, but it's just been sitting out there. So I feel like the Love Jar, little Love Jar Book Nook tier, it's going to be like $1.11 or something, will be where I'll put the monthly e-zine. I'd like it to look more like a little magazine or a little newspaper article than just an email. And then we'll be putting the blog posts and stuff. So if that's where you want, if you signed up for on my email list in the past and it's something you're still interested in, you're like, I never saw any emails from you, or who knows, I forgot all about that. I'm going to be deleting that list. And then if you're interested, you can go over to Patreon and you can sign up for the Love Jar. The Love Jar tier, and that's where I'll be putting all that. And then I'll drop this time-bending article in there. Okay. So let's go back to the Rose of San Juan Capistrano. So out there in the world, out on the podcast, out on YouTube, I have posted chapters 1... see if I can figure it out, if I can remember what I did. Chapters 1 through 10 as the audiobook of The Rose of San Juan Capistrano. And no, there's got to be more than that. Is there more than that? Huh. That doesn't even sound right. Yeah, there's other ones out there somewhere. I sure hope I didn't delete them. See, I thought I deleted some things that I wasn't supposed to delete. I don't know. I'll have to take a look. But anyway, there's at least chapters 1 through 10 out there. I think I started, I think I might have deleted some recordings. I'm going to have to go back and re-record. But nonetheless, we are on chapter 14 and 15. Yeah, I think I deleted some stuff I wasn't supposed to. That's what I get for trying to do stuff during the full moon when my brain was all crazy. Good thing I didn't delete the book itself, right? Okay. So where we last left off Calvin and Rosalie, if you've been following the audiobook, they had, and last Sunday when we did Bring Her to the Light, we were at the Are You a Man or Are You a Bear? And the bear server at the Hidden Foot Tavern delivered their little, oh my God, now I'm having a time bending experience because I'm like, what have I done the past week? Delivered them their bill and got them out, and then some little bear server followed them out and gave them this note like with the cream of mountain mushroom soup and said, you're being followed and you're being watched, and meet me in the Forest of the Forbidden Bears tonight, and I'll let you know what we'll figure out what's going on. And so they ended up going back to their room, and they were like, what is going on here? And Rosalie was like, Calvin says, I'm going to take a nap. And Rosalie's like, well, I'm going to go get some hot chocolate. And then she goes down to the lobby to get hot chocolate. And so I'm gonna skip that because I want to move to the one I channeled yesterday, which is chapter 15. But she goes down to the lobby to get herself some hot chocolate, and there's some kerfluffle in Management Only's office. There's some girl. So as Rosalie's making her yummy hot chocolate, there's some girl in there who is having an argument with Management Only. She rushes out. She goes to some pool boy, and then, they have some conversation. And this girl, we don't know who she is, she leaves and she starts going down the path to the Hidden Foot Tavern. And Rosalie's like, I feel like I need to follow her. And she makes the decision on her own. She doesn't think of telling anybody like, oh, I'm going anywhere. I'm going down that path. Remember what happened the last time they went down that path to the Hidden Foot Tavern. I'm going down this path to the Hidden Foot Tavern. And so I'm going to pick up there from the end of that chapter into the next one. And then we're going to talk a little bit more about the time bending. But this says, Rosalie made the quick decision and started down the marked path herself, keeping a safe distance from the girl. We are going to bring in these Time Lords too, because I do have a couple of questions for them. And then maybe if you guys have questions for them and you want to connect with them yourself, or if you want me to come back to this in another show, then you can email me your questions or comment on this podcast. Rosalie made the quick decision and started down the marked path herself, keeping a safe distance from the girl. She wasn't alone, as most witches weren't, since Catamancy, cat wizard, and familiar extraordinaire was following close behind. He'd sensed something was up as soon as he heard the words hot chocolate come out of Rosalie's mouth, for it was in her quest to soothe her hunger that she always got in the most trouble. Step 1, Step 2, Step 3. Rosalie followed the girl until suddenly the girl was there no more. The trail was empty except for a young man walking a very small poodle on a tiny leash. Hey, Rosalie thought, what happened to no pets allowed? The young man also ducked away and was gone as soon as he saw Rosalie watching him from afar. Why is everyone disappearing, she wondered, as she followed the footsteps along the damp trail. It was then she felt herself being pulled downward, and a sprinkling of magical dust surrounded her. I've got you now, the old fairy goddess, here she is again, Canticchera, I can't say her name, said with glee, 1 is good, 2 even better, but 3 will serve me to the letter, she said, closing the fairy portal and imagining what a fun time was to be had with not 1, but 3 mortals at her leisure. Chapter 15, An Old Cat Knows How. Catamancy was certain that Rosalie had been right there, and now she was gone. He slinked over to the part of the trail where he'd last seen her, and he felt it. He smelled it, too. Fairy sparkle, the kind used to bewitch humans. He knew that smell well. An old cat can tell. His fur bristled along his back. He had no time to waste before the remnants of the portal might be moved at any time by the fairy. He had to act fast. He held his breath and made himself very transparent. And then he used his cat senses to make out the last little space of opening that was the door where Rosalie had slipped through. And he was in. And there she was, being talked to by the fairy goddess. This goddess wanted the mortals to go pick berries and bring them back to her. Oh, heck, he thought. This fairy meant to have them here for who knows how long, doing her bidding. There was even a little dog that had been pulled through the gate, and Canton Cara had attached a little wheeled basket to its hindquarters so it could pull along the berry harvest. How was an old cat wizard going to outsmart this beguiling fae? And how was he, an old cat wizard, going to get not one, but 3 plus a dog up and out of this bewitchery? Well, he always had a way. Now to act upon it. There was no time to waste, as the bewitching spell of Canton Cara was taking over the human senses, and all notions of right and wrong were veiled. Their only thought was berry picking, and taking their sweet time doing it too. This could take eons, Catamancy thought, as he recalled the tale his father had told him about someone who had been pulled into the fairylands as a child and hadn't been allowed to leave until 100 mortal years had passed. Well, he didn't want himself or these people, least of all Rosalie, to spend one more minute here. He mewed, mew, and made a beeline for the fairy, looking pitiful and dejected. He hoped to get in her good graces. If he could get close enough to her, he could get a paw full of the enchanting dust. With that, he could try to open his own portal and get the humans out. They were already aimlessly searching for berries and placing them in the dog's basket. There was no time to waste. "Well, aren't you a poor dear?" Canton Cara said, looking down at a bewitched Catamancy who appeared as a small, dejected little kitten to her. "Come here, you little fur ball, and keep me company," she said, excited to have maybe a new friend. Catamancy jumped on her lap as she sat on the nearest toadstool to take a break. He had to be very careful. She pet his soft fur and nuzzled him to her. "What a sweet dear you are," she said, forgetting to keep an eye on the humans and the dog. And then it happened. The dog with the basket jumped excitedly at the Catamancy glamour kitten. Catamancy dashed left and then right, avoiding the bouncy energy of the small dog. The basket of berries tipped and spilled. The fairy jumped up to scold the dog, and then he took his chance. He dashed his cat paw into the bag of spell dust at Canton Cara's waist. She was none the wiser, having her full attention on the disarray of the dog basket and spilled berries. Catamancy threw some sparkle dust at a space by a little hawthorn tree, and a sparkly opening appeared. He moved quickly as he surrounded the 3 humans and the dog. He scratched and spat and clawed, pushing them towards the opening. He clawed their ankles and scratched their shoes, waking them enough from their stupor so that they moved towards the portal. And then his final move to push them through, he created a fireball with his tail, just like the deep pine elves have shown him how to do. The fireball whizzed by the humans and the dog, and that woke them up enough. They stumbled through the portal opening, just avoiding a huge spark from the fireball, and they fell gasping and bewildered back onto the trail to the Hidden Foot Tavern. Even the little dog sneezed and sputtered as Catamancy ran through the portal opening as it closed behind him. Canton Cara screeched as the opening closed. The humans stood there for a moment, and then, like nothing had ever happened, moved about their business. Catamancy swished around Rosalie's legs until she looked down and finally came to her senses. "What just happened to me?" she said to him. And all the old cat could do was look at her with a knowing and sly cat grin. Falling down into fairy portals. So that was yesterday. I channeled this and I was like, I don't know. We get that a lot sometimes in the channelings, falling down portals. In this time-bending, Time Lord's episode that Molly McCord did, she was talking about the time masters that came in for her channeling. We're talking about, that it's just so dense up here on the Earth's surface now that it makes Time Lord work very difficult, creating wormholes and working with, time and the elasticity of time. And that it's only in the deepest subterranean parts of the earth, closer to the core, there's these untouched areas that that are very uncluttered by modern technology and all the sound waves and earth, all the technology waves that we have on the upper surface. And those are the places where time travel and time work are most easily done. But there was this reticence by these, I think she said it was 3 different time masters, to even be back here on the planet, because they felt like, their work was done here and that they had done all that they came to accomplish to do. And so it brought up the question then, what are we doing? Is each of us our own Time Lord? I really feel like each of us that's on this spiritual journey, if you are so inclined, is and has the potential to be their own, Time Lord, right? We hear a lot about, wormholes and creating all these, ways to like move in and out of alternate realms. And I really feel like, people think that that's like, oh, my physical body moves, from one place to another. And what we're finding is, that's not it at all, really. It's more our consciousness is moving multidimensionally at any given time and at our free will choice, right? We're not just being whipped and pulled through. We as individuals, I think the planet also has the ability to, right, do things with time and move the planetary consciousness in and out of different realms of existence. Hence the fact that you can be multidimensional here, right? You can be very 3D, you can be sub 3D. You can be, you can go beyond into whatever dimensions you want to go to. You can take yourself to other universes and other galaxies through altered states of your own altered state of consciousness, be it your meditation practice or whatever, your shamanic journey. You have the free will to go wherever you want, as long as, you're granted access there. Sometimes you're not granted access to certain places, but I feel a lot of these concepts, especially to people that are, following the whole, ET phenomenon and all of that. Like many of these things, some could be actual 3D, ships in the sky or whatever, because some of the lower density ETs are more of a 3D physical form. But our higher dimensional friends, the ones that we'd be more likely to come in contact with, are all going to be, ships of light and beings of light. And we move through the light dimensions. We move through the upper, higher states of consciousness at free will. And our body doesn't have to go anywhere. So you want to go explore wormholes? Like, go for it, right? See what's in there and then come back. So I feel like it's not like we're trying to pick up planet Earth and move it out of our solar system because this is where it's meant to be, right? But the levels of consciousness that are available to explore are limitless and are at your own discretion, your own free will, and you're only bound by your level of understanding and you're wanting to be some sort of a time travel adventurer and go seek out these other spaces and these other places. Now, that's not to say that interesting quote unquote phenomenon doesn't happen with time. Hence the whole deja vu type feelings, like I feel like I've been here before, I've done this before, or the, you know, like I was saying earlier, was like deja vu. I feel like this whole reading has just already happened before, and it's like, no, it's like the same. It's almost kind of like the same exact one, but you're hearing it again and again and again, to keep you kind of motivated. And so, with clear intention and with your own integrity, because I do feel like, and having worked with some of the like bringers of the light masters, like Merlin's, obviously an advanced star seed and wizard and all that, there's levels of integrity involved with where you're able to go as well. If you're not as spiritually advanced, if maybe you have some ulterior motives to what you might be going somewhere to do, either in your body or out of your body, but especially traveling through the astrals, you get in by way of the levels that have been unlocked within your heart space. And if your heart space is very closed, then that is the gate. That is the gatekeeper of whatever you're trying to go to is not going to allow you access. So, for example, I'm getting so many chills. When I want to go to Telos, if you want to go to Telos, which is, etheric and I guess you could say subterranean under Shasta in California, then not just anybody can connect with the Telosians. If your chakras aren't a little bit more upgraded or advanced, if your heart chakra is not open enough, you can't connect with them. You just can't. They're not going to allow you in. So I think it's more, I think sometimes too, there's a little bit of reciprocity involved. It's like, you may think like, well, I'll just go in wherever I want. I've got, I've got higher states of consciousness. I'm just going to go visit with, whoever. But if whoever doesn't want you there, or if they don't feel like your integrity levels are high enough, then you won't be able to gain access to their realm or their space station or their planet or their star system or whatever. So the dog is having a dream right now. So I swear she sleeps a lot. So she's funny because when I first said, where is your consciousness from? And she said, Antares. And then way back, I posted a picture of some Antarans that I saw. I was like, oh my God, it looks just like my dog's face. But she sleeps a lot. For being a dog that I do have to take her out quite a bit because she needs a lot of she needs more like mental stimulation than physical. She does need physical too, but the mental stimulation. But when she sleeps, she can go on for like a 40, 30, 45-minute walk. And then she'll come home and she's going to sleep for like 4 or 5 hours until I take her out again at lunchtime. And she's just off doing stuff. I'm like, where are you going now? She's off doing things. She's not just a dog laying there on the bed. I think she's got like a service mission too. So some of our pets, especially familiars. So if you identify with your pet as like a familiar, I don't feel like you just get any old, like dog. I don't know, like the levels of consciousness of the animal kingdom. I think you get a little bit more of an advanced being. So I like to watch Sabrina on Netflix, and that's probably my what is it, like, for whatever reason, like I can't watch like certain horror movies. Like if things are too gory or too scary, I don't watch them. But that show can be very like scary and kind of gory at times. But I'm like, I identify so much with her character. And not the whole Church of Night thing, but like the power of who she is, the confidence she has as a witch, and of her own power and her own, level of understanding and her own values and all that. But I just went off on a tangent. I don't know where I was going with that. Oh yeah, the familiars. So the familiars are depicted in the show. I kind of like the way they do it because they're usually like a little goblin or something inside of an animal body. And so you'll see like her, what is her, Salem is her cat familiar. But he came to her first. She went to the forest and she like, summoned him, and he came to her first in like his goblin self. And then he showed him, oh, so many chills. Then he showed himself as a cat. And then they were out in this forest in one of the episodes, and somebody was like hunting, and there was a huge stag, and I was like, oh, sign. And they shot the stag. There's like a magical forest. And so when Sabrina and other witches came upon the stag, it had like this goblin's body, like poking out of the stag body. So I feel like sometimes that's our familiars, right? They have these other soul missions that don't have to do with just being your pet who sits on the couch and eats a dog biscuit, or your cat or whatever. So to find that very interesting. And they're doing their own like time work. So this is a week, I think, to just have fun, play. Be aware, though, if you do have things to accomplish, because this is what has just happened. Like, I created these audiobook chapters, and I think yesterday I just accidentally deleted a bunch of them, and I'm going to have to re-record them. So pay attention to what you're doing. Watch where you're going. Watch where you're walking. Try make sure you're very grounded. It's going to have this time outside of time feeling, and you may fall down some portal of like, I guess called that the Alice in Wonderland effect, where I can get lost in certain things. Like, ooh, this is sparkly and fun. Like, I found a new YouTube channel. I'm like, oh my God, this is so sparkly and fun. I want to make like a cottagecore looking like a vanity for myself, because I have nowhere to like sit, and like all the mirrors in this house are very strange. I think the people that lived here before, the bathroom, what are those called? The vanity mirrors are super high. So all I can see is like the top of, I'm so short. All I can see is like the top of my head. And I'm like, how can I do any sort of like, and I don't have I don't have any mirrors other than a few little small mirrors. So it's like, I want to make like this nice, like cottagecore, like fancy, like ladies, vanity. And so I've stumbled upon this ASMR YouTube channel. It's like, oh my God, the most beautiful makeup you could ever imagine. I just don't even know. For women, I'm not that much of I'm not a person who primps and puts on a ton of makeup. I'm more like the, tomboy adventure girl who, I'll throw on some like shimmery eye powder and some bronzer and some SPF and some lip gloss and I'm good. But I was like, I want a place where I can just sit and like brush my hair and like put on my makeup that doesn't involve me like holding a little makeup mirror up. So anyway, I fall down a rabbit hole with this channel of watching these. It's very visually appealing, this channel. What is it? Oh, and that's the name of her channel too. It's called something like I already forgot. ALB or something in Wonderland. Yeah, I forgot the name of her channel. ALB in Whisperland. That's what her channel is called. It's very visually appealing. The makeup brands or whatever that she's a influencer. I mean, man, I was like, oh my God, like amazing bottles and stuff. So anyway, let me just check in, because we're kind of like tangenting already. Is there anything else we need to talk about for Bringers of the Light for the week ahead? Is there anything else folks need to hear about? They're saying no, that's it. So I'm going to leave you here with this. The next thing you'll be hearing from me is I'll be uploading those next chapters of the audiobook for this book, The Rose of San Juan Capistrano. And then I'll be working on what's coming up for March, our March Energy Hangout. We'll be bringing in the energies of March. So there may be a reading or something that we do. There may be a pick a card, and we'll definitely do a hangout together. And then for Patreon, I uploaded already a book nook, and we did an Aloha Reiki session with Ashara, our Barbie doll. She was helping with the Reiki, and we'll be working on, for the Inner Sanctum level, some wizard training, a show having to do with bringing in a module of what we're calling wizard training. So that will be up next if you are in the Inner Sanctum. So I want to thank you all so much for joining me here. I always have fun with you, and I look forward to playing in the field with you again soon. So take care. This episode was brought to you by Tessa Locke's very own The Fish Store, fish and chips for the eclectic. Come on in and pick up our famous order number 5, the Tor Tower, and you'll be delivered a steaming pile of crackling, crunchy fish and chips. Welcome for dinner, lunch, or anything in between. The Fish Store for the eclectic.